Yasodanandana Bhajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON BBD founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jayam Vishnupad, Paramahansa Paravatikacharya Sota, the Shishimada's Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Ananta Gauri Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem Sekaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadip Mayapur Dham ki jai. Ganga Jamunamai ki jai. Tulasi Devi Maharani ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Harinam Sankirtana ki jai. Brihat Madanga ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 26, Text 35. Nabhasaḥ śabda-tanmātrāt. Nabhasaḥ śabda-tanmātrāt. Kāla-gatyā vikurvataḥ. Kāla-gatyā vikurvataḥ. Sparśo bhavat tato vāyus. Sparśo bhavat tato vāyus. Tvak sparśaya saṅgrahaḥ. Tvak sparśaya saṅgrahaḥ. Nabhasaḥ śabda-tanmātrāt. Kāla-gatyā vikurvataḥ. Sparśo bhavat tato vāyus. Tvak sparśaya saṅgrahaḥ. Alright. Yep. Vaishnavis. nabhasaḥ, from ether, śabda-tanmātrāt, which evolves from the subtle element sound, kāla-gatyā, under the impulse of time, vikurvataḥ, undergoing transformation, sparśo, the subtle element touch, abhavat, evolved, tato, thence, vāyuḥ, air, tvak, the sense of touch, sparśasya, of touch, cha, and saṅgrahaḥ, perception. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. From ethereal existence, which evolves from sound, the next transformation takes place under the impulse of time, and thus the subtle element touch, and thence the air and sense of touch become prominent. Purport. In the course of time, when the subtle forms are transformed into gross forms, they become the objects of touch. The objects of touch and the tactile sense also developed after this evolution in time. Sound is the first sense object to exhibit material existence, and from the perception of sound, touch perception evolves, and from touch perception, the perception of sight. That is the way of the gradual evolution of our perceptive objects. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayamupagaramayam Dadati Swaparantikam. So this is one of a series of very technical verses trying to describe and explain fundamental principles of material nature. And to try to explain it, for me, would be very difficult, but so don't appear to be copping out altogether. I'm going to read something from this book here, called Vedic Astronomy, Vedic Cosmography and Astronomy, which was written by Bhrgupati Prabhu, and was published by the BBT, where he he refers to these verses and gives some further insight into this whole series of verses. So I'm reading from a section called The Universal Globe and Beyond. So he says, here the term Mahatattva refers to the manifest form of Krishna's total material energy, which is produced from pradhan, the unmanifest or undifferentiated form of that energy. And he's in saying that, he's referring to this chapter, 3:26:10, and then 17 through 20. He says, the Mahatattva is the source of the false ego, a material energy that serves to cover the true self-awareness of the conditioned living beings. The false ego operates in three modes called goodness, passion, and ignorance, and thereby generates mind, intelligence, and subtle sound. Here, sound, and in parentheses, śabda-tanmātrāt, refers not to a vibration within gross matter, but to a subtle energy that generates the gross material but to a subtle energy that generates the gross material elements and vibrates within the element of false ego and ignorance. Ether, the first element produced from this energy, is the source of the subsequent elements in our list. Okay. When the Vedic ethers, I'm going to skip forward here, it says, according to the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, ether is the basic fabric of material space, since air, fire, water, and earth are produced from ether. These gross material elements can be regarded as transformations of space. It is interesting to note that such ideas have been recently contemplated by modern physicists. And he goes on to give an example of that. He said, it is also interesting to note that in the Vedic process of creation, the sequential unfolding of the elements from ether involves an alternation of gross material substances and modes of sense perception, tanmatras. Thus, according to the Vedic conception, the properties of matter are intimately tied together with the processes of sense perception occurring in conscious living entities. And that's an interesting sentence. So, but I'll leave it at that. And maybe Judah Karma could say something more about that last sentence at the end of the class, if he'd like to. So basically what's going on here is we're hearing, this is Kapila Dev speaking, and he's answering questions, not questions, he's answering a question that was asked by his mother, and now also disciple, back about 25 verses ago. She asks, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, kindly explain the characteristics of the Supreme Person and his energies, for both of these are the causes of this material manifest and unmanifest creation. And then Kapila Dev starts answering, and right off the bat it gets pretty technical, but she keeps right with him. We haven't heard the half of it yet. It keeps going for another 30, 40 verses. But further on, she asks some intelligent questions. Prabhupada referred to the questions she asks as intelligent questions. So somehow or another, she's able to stay right with him, through all this highly technical philosophy. So that's, of course, to her credit. But why is she asking these questions? Or this question and the questions that'll be coming. She's asking these questions because she wants to make spiritual advancement. That's the bottom line. I mean, earlier on we heard, I can't remember the exact, let's speak of the Sanskrit, even the English, but I remember the gist of it. She made a statement to Kapila Dev that I'm tired of this material existence. I'm finding it very problematic. And I want to, please tell me something that's going to help me disentangle myself, right, from this material existence, something to that effect. So, she's wanting to make some spiritual advancement. She can understand that this, the material life is kind of like a dead end. And she's experienced it at its best. She's experienced material life at its best. She's got incredibly good karma. She's the daughter of Swayambhuva Manu, right? She got an incredibly good husband. They had a good time, before they really, produced a family. So she experienced material life right at the top there, and she's feeling like, no, it's not. It doesn't satisfy. I'm not satisfied. I need something beyond this. So she wants to make some spiritual advancement. Okay? So now all this knowledge that we're hearing is important, but we should remember it's not the first step. It's not the first step to get all this knowledge. The first step, we heard about the first step yesterday. For those of us who were here for Prabhupada's lecture, he mentioned, Archit is mouthing the words there. What is the first step? Prabhupada said it in the lecture. What's the first step for somebody who wants to make spiritual advancement? Does anybody remember what the point Prabhupada made? Well, he said, Ado Guru Vashrayam. He quoted Rupa Goswami. He said, if you want bhakti, then you must accept bhakta as guru. And then he quoted from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 3rd chapter, text 21, Tasmad Gurum Papajeta Gigasu Shreya Uttamam. And in order to explain this point about how the first step is you have to accept the guru, Prabhupada gave a very interesting analogy. Archit is always teasing me because I'm always presenting analogies in my classes, but this one's coming right from Prabhupada, so I'll cite that and I'll elaborate upon it. But Prabhupada gave the example of how you have to become an apprentice. See, just in the sentence before, he made this, quoted Rupa Goswami, said, so bhakti means unless you become an apprentice of a bhakta, how can you attain bhakti? That is not possible. So we all know what an apprentice is, but, it's not a common word. But I'll just to give, clarify and give us clear understand. I'll give you the dictionary definition. It says an apprentice, a person who is learning a trade from a skilled employer, it says, having agreed to work for a fixed period at low wages. So it's like on-the-job training. When you're an apprentice, you're doing on-the-job training. You're learning from the person who knows how to do it. You're not getting, remunerated like you would if you were actually like a full-on employee. And in addition to actually, the theoretical and even practical training, you're assisting that person in different ways. That's part of being an apprentice. It's not like you're just kind of like being shown how to do it. No, you got to help the person who knows how to do it, and you kind of pick up the tricks of the trade as you go along, right? And that's how it works. That's how it works in all the trades. I had a friend he's a carpenter, and he went to Cornell University, and he was studying carpentry there. And I went to visit him about 10 years ago. He was living in Hawaii, and he was telling me that actually he learned everything once he started working. All the stuff they taught him in the classroom was okay, but when he actually got on the job and he was working with people who knew how to do it, he said, that's when you learn the tricks of the trade. You help the people who know how to do it, and they show you how to do this and do that, and actually it says in the books like this, but this is really the way to do it. So that's how you learn. And so that holds true for the ordinary world, and Prabhupada's using that example here. It holds true for Krishna consciousness. But there's an additional factor in Krishna consciousness. In other words, in material life, just got to pull up another quote here. In material life, your progress is dependent upon your personal ability and, in certain cases, research aptitude. See, Prabhupada says, for advancement, I'm quoting now from the Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, first chapter, I think it's text 11. It says, for advancement of material knowledge, material ability, there's a need for personal ability and research aptitude. Okay, if you're an apprentice in the material world, it's good. You're in the right situation to learn something, but you have to have personal ability and research aptitude. You've got to have some brains, some talent, some ability. Okay. Now in devotional service, that's there, but the real active ingredient, the ultimate determining factor, well, I like that first one. The active ingredient is not your personal ability and research aptitude. And I'll read you this, just a few sentences from this same purport. Prabhupada says, Srimad Bhagavatam is recognized Vedic wisdom, and the system of receiving Vedic knowledge is called avaroha panta, or the process of receiving transcendental knowledge through the bona fide disciplic succession. Now here it comes, this is how you have to get the knowledge from the disciplic succession. It says, for advancement in material knowledge, there is a need for personal ability and research aptitude. But in the case of spiritual knowledge, all progress depends more or less on the mercy of the spiritual master. Let me read that sentence again, or that phrase again. But in the case of spiritual knowledge, all progress depends more or less on the mercy of the spiritual master. The spiritual master must be satisfied with the disciple. Only then is knowledge automatically manifest before the student of spiritual science. What does that mean? Only then is knowledge automatically manifest before the student of spiritual science. Well, my understanding of that is this. This is how it works. Okay, so in devotional service, the way it works, you become an apprentice of somebody, and you learn just like you in the ordinary case of things. But there's an additional factor. There's the Krishna factor. There's the super soul factor. See. If you're an apprentice, say, to a carpenter out in the material world, nothing to do with Krishna consciousness, he may be pleased with you or not pleased with you, but you're going to learn stuff. If you have the, as it said here, personal ability and research aptitude, you got a brain, you're going to be able to pick up the tricks of the trade, even if that person's not so pleased with you. He might not be so pleased, he might think you're a pretty crummy apprentice, but you're still going to learn, okay? But in devotional service, there's this additional factor of you pleasing the person who you're working under, pleasing the bhakta. And how that works is, and Prabhupada says once again, he said, if you do that, then knowledge automatically manifests before the student of spiritual science. And how that works is this. Krishna likes it. Krishna likes it when the devotee is served. You see? So in the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I'm, how's it go? Tesham eva anukampartam aham agyanajam tamaha nashyami atmabhavashto gyana dipena bhashra. I'm in their heart and I destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. See? So in other words, when Krishna is pleased by the fact that you're trying to take shelter of his devotee, of the bhakta. And you're, just like it says in the 4th chapter, you're inquiring submissively. You're rendering service. Krishna's seeing that, you see? And then he acts. Krishna comes into the picture, and he destroys with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. And that's how it is. That's my understanding of how knowledge automatically manifests before the student of spiritual science. It's even, and this is my speculation / realization. There's actually mercy coming from that personality, but ultimately it's Krishna. Ultimately it's Krishna. And I'll give my kind of example for this, which, as I said, I'm not sure if this is speculation or realization, but I'll let you decide. Okay, so I train a lot of devotees in book distribution, okay, over the years. And I've observed this, that, there's devotees who come out and they'll just come out and, they say they want to be trained and everything, but they come out and they watch for about like a minute or two, and then they just go off and do their own thing. And they don't get anything practically. They just stay where they're at, struggling, but they go, oh, thank you, it was great, it's very inspiring, but no change, okay? But the devotees who really benefit, my observation is the devotees who come out, they help me all over the place. They help me load the books. They help me get set up. They're kind of, sensitive to all the different aspects, things that are going on. And on top of that, they watch. They really pay attention to what I'm doing and what I'm saying, and they try to copy that. And I said, on top of that, they're just trying to serve in any which way they possibly can, and they get it. My observation is the people who do like that, the devotees who do like that, their scores just go up and up and up, And sometimes I don't even, be honest with you, because, part of my service is to train up other devotees, but to be honest with you, simultaneously I'm competing. I always like to do the biggest. And sometimes I try to avoid allowing devotees to serve me. Now, this might sound a little funny, because I know that if this person serves me, Krishna's going to be pleased. It doesn't matter whether I'm pleased or not. If this person serves me, if he does this, and this, and this, he's going to get Krishna's mercy, and then he's going to start doing bigger than me. See, so in other words, it's not even that I'm giving the mercy. Krishna gives the mercy despite whether I'm wanting to give the mercy or not. See, so that's my understanding. It's a principle. Krishna likes it when the devotee, when the bhakta is served. So if you just try to serve a devotee, it's real simple. You pick somebody who you're inspired by. It doesn't have to be a book distributor. It could be a pujari. Rabindranath's there, somebody wants to learn deity worship. The way to learn deity worship is to go to Rabindranath and say, hey, please train me up in deity worship. And then you help him in every different which way, and you watch what he does, and you listen to what he says, and you do what he tells you to do. And that's how you learn deity worship. That's how you become expert like he is in deity worship. If you want to learn dressing the deities, Mother Gunavati, or, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You just get somebody that's expert, and you do like that, just like it says in that 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Inquire submissively. Those two things, inquire submissively and render service. And then the self-realized soul will impart knowledge into you, whether he likes it or not. In fact, that's my experience. Whether he likes it or not, the self-realized knowledge will be imparted to you because Krishna is pleased. Krishna, that's his system. Krishna likes that. And what's the word? The opposite of that is true too. In the case of Durvasa Muni and Maharaj Ambrish, Durvasa Muni was offended by Maharaj Ambrish. He didn't commit any offense, and he in turn tried to kill him, basically with that demon or whatever he was trying to do. And when he realized he was in trouble, he even went to as far as to Lord Vishnu. Everybody knows the story. Lord Vishnu said, "Sorry, no, you offended my devotee. He has to forgive you." So when Durvasa Muni went back there, and he was saying to Maharaj Ambrish, please forgive me for my offense, this, that, the other thing. And Maharaj Ambrish, his response was, what offense? You didn't commit any offense. If anything, I was offensive. He didn't take any, he didn't see it as an offense, you see. So there's the opposite. He didn't feel offended. So you could say, well, what was the problem then? No, because Krishna knows his devotee was offended. The devotee didn't feel offended. Maharaj Ambrish himself did not feel offended. I don't think he was lying. That's what he said. But he was trying to offend him, and Krishna could understand that, so that's why he was in so much trouble. You see, so it's a principle. Yeah, that's my understanding. It's a principle. You try to please the devotee, and whether devotees, as I said, he figures in the picture exactly to what extent. And I'll leave that for everybody else to figure out. But Krishna's pleased, and if you try to displease the devotee, you disrespect the devotee, then even that devotee doesn't feel disrespected. He might not, but Krishna is displeased by that. So that's my understanding. And is there anything else I wanted to talk about this morning? Yeah, Krishna was displeased by the fact that Durvasa Muni was trying to kill Maharaj Ambrish. Maharaj Ambrish himself didn't take any offense. When Durvasa Muni came back from Vaikuntha, he went all the way to Vaikuntha to ask Lord Vishnu, please, this Sudarshan Chakra is about to kill me, save me. And Lord Vishnu said, I'm sorry, I can't help you. The only person that could help you is the person you offended, Maharaj Ambrish. So Durvasa Muni, quick, smart, went way back down, back to the material world. He came before Maharaj Ambrish and said, I'm so sorry that I did this, blah, 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 And Maharaj Ambrish said, what offense? I didn't notice any offense at you. I didn't consider you offensive in any way. See, but he was in trouble. Durvasa Muni was in trouble. Why? Not because Maharaj Ambrish felt offended. He didn't. That's what he said. Lord Vishnu was offended that you're trying to hurt my devotee, you're disrespecting my devotee, you're trying to kill my devotee. I'm disturbed by that. And the only way of course, he could get out of that mess was if Maharaj Ambrish forgave him. But the point is that Krishna, it's a principle. Krishna, when somebody respects and tries to serve and please the Krishna's devotee, Krishna's pleased, and the reciprocation is there. And the opposite, if somebody tries to disrespect or harm the devotee, Krishna is very much displeased, and the result of that is there as well. So I'll stop there. Does anybody have any question or comment? Yeah.
Sorry, the question might not be very related to today's topic, but something that has always been on my mind, I'm seeking for answer. How do you combine bhakti and meditation when you're purely doing just meditation in silence and bhakti? How do you combine both of those things, or is it even possible to do that?
Yeah, just give up the silence stuff and just bhakti is meditation. Bhakti is meditation. When you're doing bhakti, then that's a form of meditation. Meditation is being absorbed in the thought of Krishna with a desire to please him or please the spiritual master. That's meditation. No need to sit silently, and it's okay. There's nothing that bad about it, especially if while you're sitting silently, you're thinking of Krishna, maybe praying for his mercy. But, when you're actively engaged in some activity and you're thinking, I'm doing this to please Krishna, I'm doing this to please the spiritual master, I'm doing this to please the devotees, that's meditation. See? And, that's sufficient in itself. You don't need to, if you were to stop, if you have to get rid of one of the two, just don't worry about the silent meditation. Just engage in bhakti, thinking of Krishna, thinking of how to please the spiritual master and Krishna, and everything will be there. All the realization, all the knowledge, etc., like that you would possibly, ideally get from the silent meditation, it'll be there from just performing bhakti yoga like that. That answer your question? Well, it answers the question. Whether you accept it or not, I don't know, but that answers the question. Okay, anybody else, anything? Okay, thank you very much. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.